Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to a new class during a new week with me, Ellie, to join me in this class that is all about love for our low back. So we got a request by Chufette for a class about low back pain. So this is what we're going to do. Before we start, guys, don't forget, please subscribe, it helps us so much. And even if you would like, you could offer us a coffee to support us, which we would appreciate a whole lot. Other than that, we just get started. So, because this class is for low back pain, if you suffer from low back pain, please check with a doctor if everything is okay for you to join in. If you have very few or a lot, please take the suggestions that we give. If you need to adjust. This class will be feeling differently for everyone, so please take that in consideration. We will start laying on our backs. So we will have our feet flat on the floor. As we lay down, we can bring the feet to the edges of the mat and have the knees fall softly together. So if the knees touch or not, that is not a big issue. Just wherever the knees land naturally, let that be. And here, don't take too much attention to how the posture is. You just take a moment here to lay on your back, to close your eyes. And wherever the hands feel natural, it can be one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. The arms can be next to the body. However they feel natural. Just take this moment also here to appreciate the stillness, to take a little moment to focus on your breathing. And since this class is about all love for a lower part of the back, maybe bring some awareness there. Notice how you're feeling right now there. Are you already feeling some pain? Or are you feeling completely fine there? Whatever it may be, just be aware of any sensations. And then just soften your breathing. And always feel like you guide your breath down towards the low spine. And with every breath, maybe make it a little bit softer. Very gentle in and exhalations through our nose. We take a couple more, just very calm, gentle breaths in and out through the nose. Maybe if we have the hand on the belly and the chest, noticing the rise and fall as we breathe. And then always feel free throughout this practice to keep your eyes closed. But if you need to look or have a peek at what we're doing, always feel free to do that. So the only movement we're going to do now is going to be with our low back and our pelvis, as we're going to tilt our tailbone up. So our low back is going to touch down onto the mat. Feel this slight tilt in the pelvis as the low back touches down. And then we're going to retract our tailbone back and up as we lift the low spine up from the mat. So when you lift it up, you will feel that almost your hand can pass underneath your low back, between you and the mat. And then keep having this movement very gentle, very soft. And again, depending on how that feels for you, you can make it as soft and gentle as need be. Or even take a couple more breaths where you're just laying still on the mat. So with every movement here, we're going to link this now with our breath. So every time when we breathe in, we're going to bring the low spine towards the mat, tilt our tailbone under so our hip and our pelvis tilts up. And we're going to retract it by tilting the pelvis the other way, pressing the tailbone down towards the floor, almost like you want to bring it up towards your shoulders, and lifting the low back up from the mat. Inhale, lift the tailbone up, press the low back down. As you exhale, bring the tailbone back. 2 more times. Inhale, flatten the back onto the mat. Exhale as you hollow the spine. Last one. Inhale. And exhale, hollow the back. And then slowly come back to a natural spine. So there's always a little bit of space on the low back and the mat. That's our natural curve. And just finding that space. All right, so now we're going to bring both legs together. So feet are touching. And then we're just going to place our right leg on top of the left. And just wherever that feels more comfortable for you. If you need to bring it a little bit closer in or further away, that's perfectly fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep our shoulders onto the mat. And then as I place my right knee on top of my left leg, we're just going to switch the legs over towards the left side. And here you can always place maybe your foot a little bit down, or even use some props, maybe a block or a bolster underneath the legs if that is necessary. And here you can have again the arms alongside the body. Maybe you're still keeping one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. Or even spreading the arms out like Elisa's doing as a capital T, that you just feel nice and open into the heart. So whichever version you prefer, just feel that you can adjust in any way that it feels good for the low back. Now again, as we're going through this practice, we want to make our low back feel better. So we don't ever want to increase any pain or have any pain in our low back. If this is the case, you can always just return back onto your back and just take a little break. Don't feel to force anything. It's just to take very gentle movements. And as you see, my knee is also not even touching the floor. I just keep my foot down. I keep my knee lifted so that my shoulders can stay nice and calm. And then over time, if you feel that this is too few for you, you have more space. With every breath, maybe you can find a little bit more of a twist with the low spine. But it's not mandatory. You can always just keep the knee a little bit higher lifted and have a much more gentle twist here. We're taking 2 more breaths, gently in through the nose. And very gently out. And again, gently in. And gently out. You can bring the legs back crossed or uncross them already here and then just slide them back to the middle. So we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So maybe this feels a little bit different. So even for these poses, left and right can feel a little bit different, but we place now our left leg on top of the right. And then you can slowly come maybe first to the outer edge of the right foot and then slowly let the legs fall to the side. And again, I'm just going to keep my right foot also here, the left foot, onto the floor. So my knee stays much higher, but I can keep both shoulders very easy down onto the floor. And I don't feel too much strain towards the low spine. And again here, just taking a moment every time when you can to keep the eyes closed. And just notice the feeling. How does this make the low back feel? You can always experiment with the arms. So I have them here again still on my belly and my chest, but maybe it feels better to open the arms or to even have them in cactus arms down or with the palms facing up like in Shavasana. And if you need to place anything underneath the legs, you can always have props or maybe a block that you can relax the leg on, so that takes maybe a little bit of that gravity pressure away. Take 2 more breaths, gently in through the nose and gently out. last one, gently in. And as you breathe gently out, anything that you had as props or as aversion, you can slowly get out. Maybe again, just lift the leg away from the other and then bring them back onto the floor, laying again onto our back. We just take a little movement by bringing the feet again to the edges of your yoga mat and let the knees again fall maybe together or still slightly apart, depending on the space that you can create there. And as comfortable as it may be for you, let the knees just very gently windshield wipe from left to right. So just let the knees fall over, keep your shoulders down, and to the other side. So this is maybe a little bit more intense than the gentle version where we're just laying. And maybe here you can experiment with finding maybe a little bit more space. Again, never with pain, always with comfort. And just feel a little bit the dynamic movement here towards the spine. You do just a couple more. Going to the right and the left. And again to the right. And the last one to the left. Then just bring the feet back down and let the knees again fall naturally in. And just take another moment to observe, how did this feel for you? And just taking 2 more gentle breaths in and out through the nose. Last one, breathing in. And exhale, breathing out. All right. So we're going to do the movement that we did before with the tucking of the pelvis so that we press our lower back a little bit more towards the floor. And then we're just going to lift our knees up. So here, depending on your space, maybe having the knees above your hips, maybe holding the knees there, this may be far enough. Just notice that you use a little bit the abdominal muscles to press the low back down. And then from there you can see how far you can bring the knees in. And then if you can put a little bit further, you can even lift the tailbone a little bit more up from the floor. That is perfectly fine. But again, from all this range, from here all the way to maybe hugging both knees into the chest, depending on the status of your low back. And if everything feels good, maybe even love to gently rock side to side. Maybe giving a little bit of massage to the low back. And if this is not something that you have, like low back pain, but is something that you work on preventively, like Eli is doing, maybe you like it also to bring the nose all the way up between the knees and squeeze yourself like a little ball, and then maybe even move a little bit left to right. And if that feels too much, just bring yourself always back and just hold the knees in any shape that feels good to you. And we just take another couple breaths here. Last one, nice deep breath in through the nose. And then exhaling it slowly out. There's 2 ways to come to seated. If you have no pain in the low back here, like to rock a couple times up and down as you hold the knees all the way up to seated, as Eli is going to do, that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, just lower the feet down. Maybe use your elbows to tuck everything under to slowly roll up to seated. As we're going to a cross-legged seat. So Eli is just going to sit regularly cross-legged. If you have a lot of problems with the low back, or it's even hard to cross your legs and you round a lot the spine, use something to sit on. So I'm going to take a block to just elevate my hips so that I'm a little bit more comfortable as I sit with my legs crossed in front of me. Now, as you sit with the legs crossed in front of you, you will have a natural tendency to maybe have left or the right leg in front of you. And then from here, we're just going to have a very gentle twist. So we're going to bring, I will start with the right hand towards the left knee, and then the left hand maybe aside or behind you, And feeling that you can stay nice and tall through the spine. You're opening a little bit through the chest, you lift a little bit up through the heart, you relax your shoulders down as you slowly find a twist. And again, we can bring the arm all the way behind. If that is too much for the back, just keep the hand here on the side and twist as far as is comfortable for you. And it's optional to look back, but you can also just look down towards your knee, or you're even looking in front of the mat. And then we take another breath in. And with every breath, maybe lifting a little bit taller, getting a little bit more of the twist as we exhale. And then we slowly switch the sides. However you prefer to twist, we just move towards the other side. And again, the hand can be behind the back or just on your side, sitting up nice and tall, finding a nice gentle twist. And again, trying to keep our low back stable, trying to bring the twist from the upper spine. And with every pose that we have, you can always feel free to keep the eyes closed. And as you know, and you're in your position where you feel comfortable, where you feel you can get the most benefit out of this twist. And then you just close your eyes and you focus again on your breathing. And every time you try to breathe as comfortably as you can, as gently as you can, in and out through the nose. Trying to make nice long exhalations. Last breath, fully breathing in. Maybe taking a little bit deeper into the twist if you have more space. Slowly finding the deepest version on your long exhalation. And then as you start to breathe in, you slowly release and you come back. All right. From here, we're just going to have a very gentle forward fold as we stay seated. Again, depending on where we are, we can find our hands in front of us. Find maybe even a slight tuck of the tailbone under, and then just walk the hands forward. That can be that you just have to stay on straight arms with the fingertips down and relaxing the neck. You can be as far as here. If you can have more space, you can always look at what Eli is doing, like walking more forward, maybe bringing elbows down, or even relaxing the forehead down. If you feel that sitting on a block feels a little bit more off than sitting on a block, then feel free to take it away. You can even add a second block, so if you have more props, you can even place a block in front of you to maybe let the elbows rest and maybe find a little bit more comfort into your fold. And as we take a couple of breaths here, maybe through the breaths you find just a little bit more space as you give yourself time to maybe fold a little bit deeper. Even if you have a block and you feel that the space that you create can go a bit further, you can always adjust also the depth of the block. Maybe just fold here a little bit deeper. And again, the neck can just be relaxed. There's no need to be any tension. The part where we want to focus on is to don't feel pain into the low back. So feel that you can relax the heart down, maybe the forehead down. And again, just focusing on your breath. As soon as you find your space, just close your eyes. And just feel that you can breathe very comfortably in any of these poses. Taking 2 more breaths very gently in through the nose. Nice long exhalations out. Last one, fully in. And very gently letting go of the breath. Then from wherever you are in your inhalation, slowly find space to come back up. If you were using props, just put them to the side. As we slowly come to the front. So we take a moment to find a standing forward fold. You can just use your hands to come up to standing. And there's different ways to come into our forward fold. So again, we have the props that we can use. So you can use blocks onto the floor. If you have comfortable by grabbing opposite elbows or just letting the arms hang, that's perfectly fine. We can also just bend our knees very generously and just let the body hang above bent knees, or even have them onto the blocks, the hands, and just let yourself fold forward. Now again, if any moment this feels a little bit too hard, or the legs feel a lot and you want to straighten but you want to be a bit more straight, then feel free to do that as well. And then when you find a bit more space with your breath, just let yourself fold a little bit more. And also notice here that you don't hold any tension. So just feel that you can relax your neck, maybe even relax the arms wherever they can fall. And with every exhalation, maybe finding a little bit more space for your fold. And if you feel that holding on to any other space feels better, maybe even grabbing the back of the calves, the back of the ankles, maybe letting nose fall between the knees, then that is perfectly fine as well, as long as it's comfortable for you. We all work with different spaces, with different bodies, so whatever works for you, try to find that space. 2 more breaths. In through the nose and out through the nose. On the next inhalation, slowly roll up vertebra by vertebra all the way up to standing. Keep a nice little bend into the knees as you slowly roll yourself up to standing. Now here, take a little moment, have the arms alongside your body. Just close your eyes and notice the sensations that are going on into the body right now. And again, bring that awareness towards the spine, towards the low back. Again, take another breath here, gently in through the nose. And nice and long out. Alright, from here we're going to come to our knees. So if you had any props in front of you, just put them to the side. And however you like to come down, just come down onto the knees. So maybe you like to squat, maybe you like to bring your hands down as we come towards the child's pose. For our child's pose, we keep our knees closely together and we sit back onto our heels. I will sit a little bit more to the front, so maybe you can see me and Ellie a little bit better. And then from here, we're just going to walk our hands forward and we're going to round our spine over our legs and maybe soften the head down to the floor. And you can always have the arms in front, or if it's more comfortable, the arms alongside the body is perfectly fine as well. And we're just taking a couple breaths here in this adjusted child's pose, where we feel that we can round the spine a little bit, but very gently, very calmly. There's no forcing of anything. If it feels too hard with the legs together and the head maybe doesn't touch the floor, it feels hard to round here. Also, if you have props like a block or a big pillow, you can always place it in front and maybe relax your head on top of it here so that you feel a little bit more comfortable or in a different height. Or if you don't have it but you have enough space but just too short, maybe using the hands to lay your forehead down on. Last breath, fully in and fully out. Then bring yourself back up again. Sitting up nice and tall onto our heels. This time we're going to bring the knees out a little bit wider. So we're just going to bring the knees maybe as wide as the mat or a little bit shorter, whatever feels more comfortable for you. We're going to come forward into our child's pose again. But this time we're going to walk our hands towards the left side. So you can stay nice and straight, maybe onto the fingertips, and then walk your hands towards the left side, making sure to keep pressing our heels, our hips back onto our heels. And however far you can walk them out, as it's comfortable, just feel that you can stay there. Maybe your head doesn't come down, but you keep it up. If it's comfortable, just relax the forehead down. Or maybe your chest comes even over the left knee. Wherever you can find space, maybe walking the hands a little bit more out, finding a bit more length towards the ribs, feeling a little bit more expansion. Taking another breath in. And slow and long exhale out. On the next breath in, walk the hands back towards the middle. Here in the middle, find as much length as you comfortably can. As your hips stay back onto your heels, make yourself long, feel the ribcage expand, maybe relax the forehead down. Take one deep breath in. And then as you exhale, walk your hands over to the other side. And again, maybe it stays towards the corner of your mat. Maybe you can walk them further out. And maybe you need just 1 or 2 breaths to go a little bit further. That's perfectly fine. And again, maybe your head is resting onto the mat. Or maybe even your chest is coming over the other knee on the right side. Maybe you stay on fingertips or have your hands flat. Let's take another nice deep breath in through the nose. And take a nice long exhale out. On your inhale, walk the hands back towards the middle. And for one more time, just make yourself tall, maybe let the forehead down. Find that nice space. Maybe relax the hands, relax the forehead. And just slowly walk the hands back until they reach underneath the shoulders. We're going to go back to our back, so we're just going to bring the legs out to the side and bring the legs to the front. All right. So we're just going to end with a nice butterfly pose as we lay on our back. And we're just going to bring the feet together and let the hips fall open. And again, this opening can be just natural, no need to push them more open than they open up by themselves. Arms can be alongside the body, or maybe a hand on the belly and the chest. Or even as support, maybe hands on top of the thighs. Now, if this feels strong on the low back, because automatically you will feel space with your hand here underneath the low back. You can also always have maybe something of a little blanket that you can place under to soften it a little bit here. Another thing that you can do if it's too intense is to walk the feet a little bit more forward to the front of your mat, making it a little bit less of opening for the hips, and maybe that takes a little bit of the pressure away of the low back. If you feel it's too few, you can always bring the heels more in to make it a little bit more intense depending on the butterfly that you're searching for. And we're just taking a couple more breaths here. And just focusing on the sensations again. Noticing what these poses did for our low back. Are we still bringing the love in with every breath that we take and sending it down into the space of our low spine? another breath. And a nice long exhale. And for the last time, showing ourselves some love by giving ourselves a hug. Maybe use the hands to bring the knees together. And depending on the space that you have, maybe just staying onto the toes. Maybe bring the knees a little bit higher. Maybe just holding it at the thighs. Or bringing the hands around to the front of the shins and the knees. Maybe pulling them in a little bit more. Maybe lifting the tailbone slightly up. Maybe hugging the arms around the legs. Squeezing the knees into the chest. Maybe even rolling a bit from left to right. Maybe hugging yourself so nice and tight as a little ball by bringing the nose between the knees. Really giving this moment to hug yourself. Maybe inside of yourself mumbling to your low back, saying, I love you. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly release. Taking the time to slowly release the legs to the corners of the mat, finding a moment for your Shavasana here. Letting the legs fall to the corners of the mat, arms alongside the body. And maybe take a moment to bring the shoulders a little bit more together, lengthen through the neck. Finding any adjustment that you need with the hips to find the most comfortable space for your low back. And just finding that beautiful moment of stillness and awareness, where we can focus again on our breath. Stay here as long as you want, as long as you need. And with this class, you can come back to it many times. You can take any adjustment to see over time if you can get a little bit more space, and hopefully every time getting a little bit better and feeling better into our low back. We want to thank you for joining us in this very soothing and very gentle practice. And we hope to see you soon in the next one. Thank you all so much. See you in the next class.